If you got lost along the way, feel free to start right here at L7 and continue building, or you can duplicate L7. Okay? Either way, just right click, duplicate page, or you can start building from this page to move forward. Okay? But we're gonna move on in our chart to build our next visual. The next one we wanna analyze expenses. And what we wanna look at with the expenses is we wanna say, what are our actual expenses? But let's see that same breakdown that we saw maybe in that waterfall chart. Now we could go through and build this from scratch where we pull in all the elements, but because I know I want that same drilling function, I want to go from region to division to business unit to object, I'm going to actually save myself some time by copying a visual where I already have that same drill down capability or that same drill path. So I'm just going to highlight the waterfall chart and I'm going to do a copy paste, Control C, Control V as in Victor. So just like we did on the slicers, I'm going to drag it down here to the bottom. And then we're going to change the chart. This time what we're going to look at, instead of looking at a waterfall chart, because I want to actually see expense amounts, not variances, we're going to change this to be a stacked bar chart. This is the very first visual icon in your visuals list. So it's just called a stacked bar chart. So I'm going to see my whole of expenses and then see how do they break apart. So right now I'm seeing the revenue variance by actual amount. I don't want to see this, so I'm just going to remove it by clicking on the X in the X-axis. So in your visualizations pane, go to the X-axis and remove revenue variance amount actual. And let's go ahead and add the expenses actual amount selected. So expand your expenses folder. So GL balances detail, account measures, expenses. Go down to expenses, actual amount selected, and put that in the X-axis. So now I'm seeing my total expenses, but what I see in here is my expenses by region. But what I want to know is, how do these break apart? How do these expenses break apart? Like where do they fall? Are they administrative expenses, employee expenses? Are they marketing, sales, or marketing expenses? So let's break this apart a little bit more. Let's give some more detail. So that's what this stacked bar chart's going to give us, is we can add another element in here to break apart this $306,000 into the different areas. So we're going to do that by adding a legend. Now, in this case, because we're looking at GL, we could just go add other fields in here, which would work just fine. But what I want to add in here is I want to actually go back to our income statement. Now, built into the solution, we actually built in your different levels within your income statement or your balance sheet. So we can incorporate that into this reporting as well. It doesn't just have to be a field of information out of the ERP system, but we have that logic to pull in those categories or those groupings as well. So we're going to go ahead and take this income level 6, the description part, so just where it says IS level 6, and let's drag that into the legend. And now you're going to see your expenses break apart within each of the different regions. So which are administrative expenses, which are employee expenses, and which are the sales and marketing expenses. Ooh, right? Kind of fun. Now, if we want to add, again, some context on this, we have that ability to add the tooltips. So right now we're looking at all these revenue information. We don't care about the revenue, so we can go ahead and just remove that out. And we could add in the expenses by navigating in the data pane down to the expenses folder, and then just adding those additional elements that we know we want. We want to see the selected. I'm going to go to my expense actual percent selected and the prior year. Again, just giving it some context. If you hover over it, you get that tooltip to kind of come up and show you what are your different items. Perfect. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Now we need to clean this visual up a little bit. What does it look like? First thing we need to do, we need to make sure we update that title. So we're going to go to the visualizations pane. I'm going to go to the format your visual, and I'm going to go to my title, and I'm just going to change the title on this one and just call it expense analysis. Now, the other thing I like to do here, again, just to show off some of the other things we can do in formatting, let's go back and look at the visual itself. I don't like users to have to hover to see everything. So what we want to do here is we want to actually turn on what are these values. So it would actually put the little value inside the picture. That's just right here in the visual section under data labels. So just like we had data labels on the scatter chart where it told us what the dimensions were, now I can put in data labels that actually show me what the amounts are. As you do that data label, if you expand that section, you can kind of see here some different formatting that you can do in there. Where are we putting this? But I'm going to go to the values section, and I'm going to look at the units, and I want to display these units. I guess in millions is good, or you can do auto. I'm going to change my amount here. I'm going to change my slicer because I don't like the way that's looking. Oh, I really don't like where I just went. To undo it, I'm going to go back to my data labels under my values, and I'm going to turn it back to auto. There we go. I'm going to switch my time dimension up to year to date, just so those numbers look a little cleaner, a little like something we'd be talking about. But you do have the ability to change your display units so that those numbers are showing more accurately that represent what the data looks like. You don't want everything to be a 0.0 million because it doesn't round up to 1. So sometimes you need to adjust those. Just depends on what the value is, or your decimals. Do you want to see 1 decimal, 2 decimals? So you really have the ability within the visual to really completely change the look, the feel, the colors, the legends. What is it going to be on any one of these visuals? So don't feel like what we're doing is we're just really looking at things at the highest level and kind of building them out. But you can really get into these and really customize them as you're doing this. Perfect. So now we've built 4 different visuals. We have a table, we've got a waterfall chart, a scatter chart, and a stacked bar chart.